Hi, welcome back. Let me talk to you about the batting mindset. Now, whenever we start practicing in the nets or practice sessions, normally we do it very comfortably and very coolly. And whenever we look and observe at the time of playing matches, we do not have the proper strokes also done sometimes. It restricts. The reason, if you look into, is the mindset. Because whenever we are practicing at the nets, we observe and play very coolly and comfortably because we are sure that even if we become out, we still have some more time to practice and play. So the natural game would come. But the moment we start playing in the matches, we observe that the strokes are restricted, and sometimes because of the fear also we become out. So the most important thing I would like to share here is at the time of practice also you need to visualize. I repeat, you need to visualize if I am trying to play a match and if there are pace bowlers or fast bowlers, how do I need to react? How do I need to play? And consciously, by visualizing and focusing on that, you need to play even at the time of practice. Similarly with the spinners also. Even when you are playing matches, how do you respond or how do you play for the spinners? That's a very important thing. So what you do in the practice, that's what you repeat in the matches. So that's very important. And one important point again I would like to share here, the batting is a very critical thing. Now I do not mention or say that if you are bowling or doing wicket keeping, it's not critical. It is in a cricket match. But normally why do I say that? Is when you are batting, firstly you need to have a sound technique, and when you are in the match, one mistake of yours, it might cost your wicket. Only one mistake. You do not have second chances in that particular match. But when you are bowling, sometimes when you miss that wicket also, you still have a chance to bowl the other person out. So that's very important for us to understand. One more important point I would like to reiterate or share here is, there is something called as muscle memory. Now, what do I mean by muscle memory? Now, it's always seen or believed, if you have practiced well at the time of nets, the same thing you would do it in the match. So it's normally seen if you are trying to go to the next levels. Imagine one particular stroke you are trying to practice for around 10,000 times. Example. So you are aware that whenever the ball is going to pitch there, example, mid-land half, your short pitch ball, mid-land half, automatically your action would come towards the cut, towards the point region. So it's the muscle memory we call it as. So it's very important that whenever we start practicing something, that would help you to hit that kind of stroke in the matches. Similarly, wherever we have those weak points, imagine when we are batting and we realize that that was a particular weak point, we start working on that particular weak point in the practice session to improve our muscle memory. Meaning, the muscle memory would be so clear, which will only understand that if the ball pitches in there, you are trying to hit that ball to that direction. It's as simple as that. So the practice, whatever you are trying to do in the nets, similar ball, whenever it's going to pitch, you are going to drive it towards the boundaries or towards that region. That's as simple as that. Now there is always a mindset where some of the batsmen have in mind that they start preparing themselves, that saying if the bowler bowls that way and if I miss that line and length, what next? Firstly, very importantly when we are batting, that mental block need not be there. You need to enjoy the game. Now, if you actually look back in this result-oriented society, which we call it as, okay? Now, you can't control the results. I hope you understand. You can't control the results, but you can control the process. Meaning, you need to know in the practice sessions how exactly you can do. If you have gone wrong or got out in one particular thing, you have to come back and practice on those balls where you are weak at. That's the very important thing. The moment when we start playing the matches, we start worrying about the selection and the result. That becomes sometimes a challenge. Don't worry about the results. Work on the process, as you would have heard Dhoni speaking about it. MS Dhoni talking about the process. We work on the back end, the results are bound to happen because no one is aware what results are going to come. So it's very important that we are banking on the process. We are banking on the hard work or the back end efforts. The results are bound to happen. Now let us understand a situation. You are on the crease and trying to bat. Normally what happens, if just imagine you are in the non-striker end now, okay, and you observe sometimes that the other side of the batsman is getting some loose balls and he is at around 30 or 40 runs, okay, and whenever you try to bat, some very good balls are happening or very good balls are coming down. So we get worried that I am unable to score. Always you need to have patience when you are batting. Now whichever formats we talk about, it might be a 20 overs format or a one day format of 50 overs or a test match. Staying in the wicket and scoring is the key. A lot of people feel, if I just stand in the crease and do not score, is it okay? It is not okay. You know, it's always said, play to win. Just don't play not to lose. You play there to score the runs. You don't play just to stick on, not to give your wicket or throw your wicket. It's very, very important, right? And very importantly, it's believed that you need to focus when you are batting there. Focus in the sense, every ball the bowler bowls, you need to focus. Now, for example, there might be a chance, one or two good deliveries, you might miss the ball. That's perfectly fine. Doesn't matter. Now, if you miss the ball, okay, again try and focus on the same ball. At that time, there might be a lot of thoughts coming in the mind, okay, and because of that, you again get defocused. So how do you come back to that focus point? I would like to share an example. Now it's probably a little lengthier format or a little different formats normal in batting. Imagine you are in the batting crease. You miss that ball. The ball goes to the wicket keeper. He normally tries to pass it on to the first slip, then to the second slip, then to the point, slowly to the covers, mid-on or extra covers, then finally to the bowler. It might probably take 1.5 minutes. Example, just try and follow the ball wherever the ball is getting passed. What happens here? You are focusing on that ball. Your thought is going towards that ball. Your thought is not going here and there. That's very important. So these small points, again when you focus, the bowler has the ball in the hand and is ready to bowl the next ball to you. So again getting focused and starting to play for him. One more important point I have always seen or have personally experienced also is whenever a bowler is trying to bowl, okay, if at all he is a very good bowler, he might not bowl you all the 6 balls very on line and length. So it's very important for us to remember here. You have to wait for the weak balls. You have to wait for the short pitch deliveries. You have to wait for certain balls which can give you runs and drive and get the runs. One more point I would like to share here is when you are batting, if the bowler has pitched the ball on the stumps and you have played a defensive shot, it's not that someone is trying to judge you how neatly you have played the defense and the bowler gets the ball. You have put a defense and the bowler gets the ball. Instead, if you think about shifting that ball or diverting that ball in between 2 fielders and getting a run, single or 2 runs, and changing the strike is very important. So the important key here is rotating the strike is one part, and on the go ensuring that the runs are happening. When the runs are happening, you can doubly sure that the opponent or the bowler is stressed upon, because they also need quick wickets so that they can control the runs. And you as a batsman, very importantly, needs to score more runs. And as the strike starts rotating, the greatest advantage what will happen is, even sometimes if it is a right-hander and a left-hander, the field placement starts changing. Even if it is two good batsmen playing, one is good on onside, one is good in offside, it again has a change. Okay, so the fielder has to run around if the batsman also takes singles or doubles. So that's the key. So it's very important that strike rotation along with boundaries and sixes are important. Some of the batsmen also feel that they are worried that if they fail in the match, what next? Please remember, you would fail in the match, or if you have been successful, you might fail tomorrow. There's no one out there who always says that he was going to hit his 50s or 100 in every match confidently. It would not happen. Now talk about top test players. Probably some time back, if you look at some ratios of Virat Kohli or Root or Williamson, example, let us take an example. Average for these people who have played few matches of 100 to 150 test matches, the average scores is minimum 50 runs. If it is around 100 matches and if it is 50, the average could have been 100 to 150 average, but it doesn't happen that way. So what we need to understand is, there would be a situation that you would fail. There would be situations that you would score. Here what we need to remember, I'll give you with some scores also, what we need to remember in mind. Whenever we are at peak, whenever we are performing very well, and when we are in the time where the scores are not happening through us, okay, weak time. Now let us share and try and understand the difference. What can the committee or the selection people or whomever on the other go would try and decide? Let us understand this. Imagine you are at sometimes scoring 35 runs, 40 runs, 45 runs, or you are at 42, 44, 46, something like that. One instance. Imagine you are at one situation where you are at 102, 110, 105, 3 triple centuries you have hit. One is at 85, 90 runs. Okay. And in both the situations, someone has been at 35 or 40 or 45 and he has failed. Someone is at 80 or 100 or 120 and he has failed. The committee or anyone for that matter would consider these guys who have already scored that centuries. That's very important for us to understand. So when the time is good, when you know that you can score well, ball are getting connected, seriously ensure that you score your centuries. That's the key. Because there can be a downfall. There can be some graph. It's just like a simple graph. You're at peak, you might come down. Again, you can go on the peak. But when you come down, consciously go back to the practice sessions, understand where we are going wrong and rectify that and come back. That's the important key. Because when you are at peak, any good length ball or any ball, probably you would drive it to the boundaries because you are confident and you are at the different wavelength. When the performance is not happening, definitely a proper short pitch ball also sometimes you would not be in a position to hit. That would be the difference, right? So that's the key. So never ever worry that if you fail or if you do not score in this match, what would happen? That's just a mental block, which can happen to any individual, from the normal cricket player to the international player also. That's perfectly fine. Doesn't matter. That should not matter you playing the matches. The more matches you go on playing, the more performance can be done. That will average out to be a good performer. But there's also a concept called as one ball at a time. Meaning, whenever the bowler bowls to you, the moment the ball is really good, you have played the ball, the next ball, you have to come back and again focus on that. Okay? One ball at a time. Don't be tensed that you're already aware that the bowler is really good. Don't go with that mindset. That will only block your mind, because the thoughts which is there in the mind cannot be controlled. So it's also important that one day before you also practice visualization. Now in this visualization, it also helps you to understand and think that how the bowler is going to bowl the next day and how are you going to bat. That's very important. It's also believed that what you think about and visualize in the bedroom one day before is what you do on the field next day. It's as simple as that. But it's very, very important. Whenever you go on the field, you have to focus. That's the key. Without focusing, you can't make it big. Along with that, I also wanted to share a small point before I wind up. As you grow up the ladder in the state teams and the next teams ahead, it is not only about the physical development. It's more on the mental status or mental development also. That's very important. When you build your mentality more stronger, more performances you can get. That's the key. Thank you.